coronavirus growing more and more serious each passing day, most Americans have taken to their homes. Even people who are not under quarantine are going out when only absolutely necessary. Bars and restaurants are closed, movie theaters are closed, Broadway is closed, no one's at work, no one's at school, and we've been told to practice social distancing, so we can't even have a party. What to do in this time? Well, my answer has always been television. Hi, I'm Linda. This is Linda's World, and this is Top 10 Tuesdays. And tonight, I'm going to give you my list of the top 10 series that you can binge watch while in your home awaiting the alleviation of this coronavirus pandemic. TV has always been an escape for me. Even when I was a little kid and didn't even understand the words being said on the screen, I really, really appreciated the escape that fictional television gave to me. So, this evening, I share my top picks with you. And those top picks start right now. Our list of binge-worthy series begins in just a moment. But first, I'd like to say a word about the coronavirus and its impact on our lives, especially in the last couple of days. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sorry this is happening to us. I understand the things you must be feeling and thinking right now because I'm feeling them and thinking them just the same as you are. We have fear about our own personal safety and health. We have fear of the safety and health of our loved ones, especially those who are elderly, very young, or already compromised with pre-existing medical conditions. I know that for many of us, we're missing our loved ones because we can't get to them because of the social distancing policies. I know that we're afraid that supplies are going to run out, and how will we feed our families? I understand the huge toll this is taking on people who work for businesses that have now closed, and they depend on those tips or those hourly wages to pay their way in life. I am especially sorry to people who have been told to stay at home with their family when that family, husband, wife, mother and father, whatever, are abusive to them. And the outside world was their soft place to land because their home is not exactly a place where they can feel safe. I am incredibly sorry for people facing eviction, people who are already homeless, people who are alone in the hospitals having tested positive for the virus and have no family that can see them and nowhere to go and are just getting more frightful by the minute. These are terrible times. I'm not going to lie. This is a terrible, terrible thing that has befallen us. But you may be saying to yourself, Linda, why are you on YouTube right now when we have such a crisis? And why are you about to tell us a list of 10 TV series to watch? Well, I'll tell you why. First and foremost, I'd like to say that I absolutely have always gotten a great deal from television. Television has taught me so much of the things that I know, and television, be it comedy or drama or anything in between, has entertained me for 43 years, even before I knew what the words meant when I was a little tiny baby, because when life is hard and your own personal narrative is not really great, if you could absorb yourself into someone else's personal narrative, real or fiction, that does something to the human mind, and it helps us to temporarily at least alleviate our own situations and find ourselves absorbed in another world, a fake world, a world where everything gets solved in 28 minutes or 56 minutes or however long the series is, and it allows us to just not think of all of the horrors for just a little while. That's what television means to me, and it always has and it always will. Now, I'd also like to say that I think that it's really important in this time that we give of ourselves what we can. And I have an incredible wealth of knowledge where television and, quite frankly, storytelling is concerned. I am an English teacher after all. So if you want to send me a comment down below asking for further recommendations or making a recommendation of your own, or possibly asking for movies or books or other YouTube channels, things of that nature that you could use to occupy your time in addition to the series that I'm listing, well, then you go right ahead and do that, because all suggestions are welcome. Now, we're going to start the list now, but before we do, I'd like to say this. If you are just finding this video by happenstance and you're not yet a member of Linda's World, why don't you go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and hit the notification bell as well so you can tell when all new videos drop to my channel. What is Linda's World? What is the channel? Well, Linda's World is a place where you can escape the real world for just a couple of minutes so that you can gain the tools you need to return back to that real world and live your best life, even when you're not exactly living your best life. That's the motto I go by, and that's the basis upon which my channel is founded. So, with no further ado, let's lighten the mood a little and talk about 10 awesome TV shows that have brought so much light into my life over the years. Here we go. Now I'm going to tell you the name of the series, a little bit about it, and also the place where you can find it, so you know like what channel it's on, or like which provider or whatever. Okay, so number 10 is Game of Thrones. Now, Game of Thrones is an HBO series, so if you have HBO with your cable provider, there it is, it's on demand. Or, if you don't have that, you can go to the HBO Go app, and you can find your Game of Thrones episodes there. Now, Game of Thrones is a series that is so not my genre. You know, it's a bunch of guys fighting on horseback with swords, you know. I don't normally do that. I don't do that Knights of the Round Table kind of stuff. But it is absolutely ingenious. Now, Game of Thrones tells the story of the Seven Kingdoms. And there are various families, Stark, Lannister, Targaryen, families that are houses, basically, as they're called, who are vying for what they believe is their claim on the throne to rule the Seven Kingdoms. And because this is true, seasons of hourly episodes with tremendous infighting and violence and beheadings and sexual improprieties and intermarriage and just absolute unspeakable acts ensue, to the point where you just don't even know what to say and you're on the edge of your seat. And there's hundreds of characters and you have to keep them all straight. It's an investment. It's a project. It's not to be watched when you're half asleep or anything. Okay? And so, but what I love about it so much, you're like, well, Linda, this isn't your genre. No, it's not. But I give everything a chance because I like to feel the characters. Okay? And in this sense, Game of Thrones presents us with its writing and its acting and its directing and whatnot, characters that are so well done that they're evil, they're bad, they're doing bad shit to other people. And you're like, ew, I hate that guy. Except that you love that guy and you root for that guy. You know, there are people doing crazy crap all over the place. And it's something that could never have been, in real life, we wouldn't want to know these people, but yet we root for them. And it's unbelievable. And the story is so interwoven that it needs a gosh darn map at the beginning. And it's just absolutely effing brilliant. And I recommend it highly. And I thank my ex-husband for introducing it to me, actually. Okay, now number 9 is the complete polar opposite. Number 9 is Schitt's Creek. Now, Schitt's Creek is a half-hour comedy series, and it is a Pop original series, so it's on the Pop channel. That's where it's currently in season 6, which is, I think, going to be its last season. Now, all of the seasons, except for the most current one that's in production, are on Netflix as well, so you can catch up there. And Schitt's Creek tells the story of Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara, you know, of Best in Show, For Your Consideration, SCTV, things like that. And their 2 grown children, a guy and a girl, who in the very first episode become totally broke because they'd been millionaires, but their accountant like stole their money, whatever. And so they're forced to go to the only thing they still own, a town that they bought on a dare years ago called Schitt's Creek. And this little ridiculous small town and the absolute brilliance that is Chris Elliott, who is like the mayor, is so hilarious. And they own a motel and they sort of absorb themselves into like small town, like kind of like white trash society. And it's just so brilliant and hilarious. And I recommend it unbelievably high. Like, it's just crazy good, right? Okay. Number 8 is also an exercise in a little bit of white trash, and it is Shameless. Now, Shameless is a Showtime series. So if you have Showtime with your cable provider, great. If not, you can get the Showtime Anytime app, and there you have it. Now, Shameless is in, I believe, season 10. Now, they were on season 8 at the time. I watched it religiously and just back to back for a week until it was done, and then could start watching season 8. That's how good it is. Shameless tells the story of the Gallagher family on the south side of Chicago. The Gallaghers are made up of Frank, the father, played by William H. Macy, who is a drunk and a drug addict and a loser and really, really dirty and a con artist and just a deplorable human being who like defrauds the government, defrauds women, just like does everything wrong in the entire book and has really, really bizarre, unorthodox ways of looking at life. And the eldest daughter, Fiona, who's like the adult in the room who like tries to keep it all together. And various brothers and sisters who just, you know, sort of have to be under her wing as this family who doesn't have a pot to piss in because their parents are absentee due to substance abuse. They have to just pool their resources and sort of like try to live their best life. And there's people in a gang, and there's people in prison, and there's people who join the military, and there's people who are having indiscriminate sex, and there's drugs involved. It's just a hilarious, but yet not hilarious take on humanity. And just when you think Frank can't be any grosser or weirder, he is. And it's just brilliant as hell. Shameless. Showtime. It's awesome. All right. Now, if you're looking for a way to just pass an evening, I've got a series for you that's number 7 that is just one season. 8 episodes, half an hour apiece, but they're awesome. And that's Russian Doll. Russian Doll stars Natasha Lyonne. Remember her from Slums of Beverly Hills? Now, Natasha Lyonne plays a girl named Nadia who is at her birthday party when she, in the first minute or 2 of the episode, gets into an accident and dies. But she wakes up at her birthday party again. And then again. And then again. And then again. Very much like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. And you're wondering, why is it called Russian Dolls? Well, it's a play on the Matryoshkas, the dolls we open, and there's like another one inside, another one. And what is with this alternate universe? Why does she keep waking up in the same spot, at the bathroom sink? Like, why is this a thing? Like, how come she didn't just die? Well, you find out. And it's a really good, it's basically a mind fuck, but awesome. And her observations on life, like the way her character is and the way she thinks about the world, is very similar to the way I think about the world, and it's a little unorthodox, but it works, and it's really, really cool. So watch Russian Doll. Oh, and it's on Netflix. It is a Netflix original series. So there. All right. Number 6 is also a Netflix original series, and it has 6 seasons, and it stars Kevin Spacey and Robin Wright, and it is House of Cards. I don't even know what to say. I have my dad to thank. He's the one who told me years ago to watch it. In fact, one of the last conversations we had was he said, "Oh my God, you won't believe what Claire does to Frank." Now, Claire and Frank are the Underwoods, a Hollywood, not Hollywood, what am I thinking? A Washington, D.C. power couple. At the very beginning of the series, Frank Underwood is a senator, and it doesn't stay that way. And so we watch as this couple, who are inexplicably bonded to each other and would literally do anything for each other, like literally anything for each other, just people screwing them over and them trying to screw over other people, and they always win in the end. And just, if you like a political intrigue show, if you like a Washington Insider drama, reminiscent of The West Wing, then you go right ahead and do it. And the ruthlessness of Frank Underwood, and quite possibly also I should include Claire in this too, is absolutely astounding. And I just can't, you get your eyes peeled. It's edge of your seat excitement. And now some say that, Kevin Spacey had his Me Too problem and he was like taken away from the series. So season 6 was only Robin Wright. And it's a little unbelievable. Like, it's a little hyper real kind of, in season 6 without him. They delve into something that would never happen, like really, but it's still a great ride, and they ended it on a very bizarre note, and it is definitely worth checking out, and it is a Netflix original, and it is House of Cards. All right. So now that we're at the middle of my list here, I would like to ask you guys for suggestions. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're liking what you're seeing, please do me a favor and hit the like button on this video. And if you really like what you're seeing and you have words about how it's going, or suggestions about other series, books, movies, other things that we can use, fictional or non-fictional, things that we can watch or read or absorb in some way, some kind of cool story that we can absorb during these difficult times while we're sitting in our homes looking for entertainment, you go right ahead and comment that, please, because I'm anxious to know. Maybe yours matches some of mine. I have to tell you, I had a hard time paring the list down to 10 tonight. There's, of course, all the old shows that I always watch, like The Golden Girls, Bewitched, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Three's Company, The Jeffersons, The Big Bang Theory, Family Guy. I mean, the list goes on and on. So, enough babbling. Let's do the second half of this list. Now, you'll notice my enthusiasm will kind of grow because this is a countdown. Obviously, I love 1 more than I love 10, right? Okay. So, now, number 5 is an Amazon Prime Video original series, and it is The Marvelous Mrs. Mazal. I love this program. I resisted it for a long time too, and then I finally sat down and watched it. Now, they're in season 3, so there are 3 seasons in total. I myself am half done with season 3. And so, The Marvelous Mrs. Mazal is Rachel Brosnahan, who actually had a cameo appearance in House of Cards for a few episodes. And it's 1959, and she's Miriam Maisel, or Midge. And she's a woman who's left by her husband. She's a sort of upper middle class, like, literati intellectual Jewish woman with, like, awesome parents. Her dad is Tony Shalhoub from Monk, and he's effing brilliant. Her mother is Maren Hinkle from Two and a Half Men. She's brilliant as well. And so she inadvertently becomes a stand-up comedian. And so she has 2 small children, but she goes out and does this anyway, and puts on this act, Mrs. Mazal. And Alex Borstein, who is voices on Family Guy, she's her manager, Susie, and they just go off on this hijinks, and the stand-up alone, her observations about stuff are so ahead of their time, because it's supposed to be 1959. They're up to 1960 now. And it's absolutely ingenious. And if you're tuning in even to watch, like, the romantic angle, or if you're tuning in to watch her stand-up, which is great, or if you tune in to watch the parents, who are hilarious, or if you're Jewish and you want a sense of family and you want to see, like, what your grandma and grandpa were like, you know, because that's exactly who they are. They're older Jewish people in 1959 in a very New York-y sense of the word, you know. It's absolutely spectacular, and the costumes are just insane. Like, they got 1959 down. Like, it's crazy. Watch The Marvelous Mrs. Mazal. It's marvelous. Okay. The next one up is a show that I can't even, like, I think I might cry. Okay? I don't cry at stuff when I watch it on TV. This show makes me cry. And it is currently running on NBC, and it is This Is Us. Oh my God. This Is Us tells the story of the big 3. 3 siblings, the Pearsons, Kate, Kevin, and Randall. Now, Randall is black. He was adopted, and the other 2 are white. Mandy Moore is their mom. And basically, Jack and Rebecca Pearson had 3 babies. And there they are. And interwoven between the current day and the past, and, you know, as far back as Grandma and Grandpa, or as far forward as people in the future. They play with time in the show. They show the inner workings of the Pearson family. And, you know, Kate is obese and trying to fight it. Kevin is an actor, and he's struggling with, like, being known for just being a pretty face. Randall struggles with his, you know, finding his adoptive father, and, you know, what that means for him, and, you know, when he meets this fellow and what that does to the family, and, you know, and running for city council at one point, and just various other things that they do. And Randall is prone to anxiety, and I always say every week when I watch the show, I'm Randall. I'm exactly like his character. And the love story that is Jack and Rebecca, and how through the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, they had this relationship that formed the big 3 into the adults that they are today, and what her parents were like, and his parents, and how. And the premise of the series is that we don't realize that it all connects together, that the universe is part of a great story and part of a plan. I will share with you one spoiler to explain what I mean. Okay? It doesn't give away any plot, right? So, when discussing Jack's problem with drinking, he had an alcoholic father who was abusive to him and his brother Nicky. And so at one point they show him with a beverage in his hand. They show his father sitting in like 1961 or something in his armchair with a beverage in his hand. Then they show further back, this is like a series of clips, and then they show further back and his father parachuting out of a plane in World War II and hitting the ground running with his gun. So indicating that the man doesn't drink because it tastes good. You know what I mean? Like, it's brilliant. In another episode, we see a young black man in the 70s, get on a bus, pay his money, writing his little poetry book. He sees a girl. Next time you see him, they get on the bus together. Next time you see him, they get on the bus together, and they're obviously strung out on drugs, and he's trying to write in his poetry book, but he can't even form a sentence. And then in the 4th frame, he's all alone on a bus with a newborn baby. And Blues Run the Game by Jackson C. Frank is playing all the time, and it makes me cry. And so that's what I'm talking about. The way they weave a story together using past and present and future is just outstanding. And it like, I can't even, like, the Dan Fogelberg made the show, and I want to meet this man and hug him and be like, dude, you're the best storyteller I've ever seen in my life. Okay, This Is Us. Number 3 is Orange is the New Black. Now, I watched half of season 1 of this like 5 years ago, and then I didn't watch it again, and I forgot about it, right? And one day I had nothing to do, and that's a rare occasion, and I said, let me go find something to do, so I put it on, and I was hooked all through 7 seasons. Orange is the New Black tells the story of women in prison. Piper goes to prison for having carried drug money for her girlfriend years ago in college, and she has to do a year because she's been given up, right? And she meets other people. And the unbelievable cast of characters, and it shows you them in prison, and it's the intrigue of what they're like inside the penitentiary, but also what drove them there. There's a backstory to everybody. The Russian woman played so brilliantly by Kate Mulgrew that it's almost alarming that anybody could be that brilliant at acting. Who, like, her husband was in the Russian mob and she got stuck with stuff. The black girl who'd spent her life in foster care and got sent up for the drugs of her foster mother. The meth addict trailer girl who, went to the abortion clinic and, a gun went off, things like that. And and it tells the story of how they all came to be there, and it humanizes women in prison because it tells the story of how, who were they before? And who are they now? And how does their story connect with their other story? And who will they be later? And the bonds that they form to each other, and why they're getting their prison family together means so much, And how do their other families fare in this? And it's just, it's insane. It's so good. Don't worry, we're almost done. A departure from the grave Orange is the New Black is my number 2 selection, my second favorite show on the entire planet. Ladies and gentlemen, Grace and Frankie. Grace and Frankie just wrapped season 6. They have one more to go. It is a Netflix original series. Oh, I forgot. Orange is the New Black is on Netflix. This Is Us is NBC, so you have to get the NBC app or watch it on Channel 4 on a Tuesday. Tonight is actually the finale. So, sorry about that. Just carried away with the story. But in any case, Grace and Frankie is Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. And in the first episode, their husbands at 70 leave them for each other. And they are straight-laced and a hippie, and totally the opposite. And over the course of 6 seasons, they find themselves being best friends and working together in a very unorthodox way. And the whole premise of the series is that life doesn't stop when you reach a certain age, and that often the last couple of decades of our life could be even more fulfilling and awesome than the first. And Jane Fonda is brilliant, and Lily Tomlin is brilliant. And as the ex-husbands who are now married, Sam Waterston and Martin Sheen, who I adore, they're brilliant as well. And it's just worth checking out because it will make you fear aging less. It will make you almost look forward to being retired in 75. You know what I mean? And the beautiful La Jolla backdrop doesn't help. Dissuade me either. It's really nice. Are you ready for the number 1 series? Okay, good. First, a couple of honorable mentions. So for honorable mentions, just for cuteness, Fuller House. Fuller House is on Netflix, and it is the sequel to Full House, and it's actually funnier because everything is an inside joke at the original series. And if you grew up in a time like DJ Tanner, okay, and Kimmy Gibbler, if you grew up knowing who Uncle Jesse is, well, check it out. Big Little Lies, a limited series on HBO. It has a limited number of episodes, and it surrounds this weird murder in this upper middle class town in Monterey, and these women, Laura Dern and and Reese Witherspoon and various others, Nicole Kidman, and it's just really good, kind of like suburban gothic intrigue. The West Wing. It is currently on Netflix, but it used to be on NBC. And The West Wing is a 1990s political drama show starring the wonderful Martin Sheen as the president. And Allison Janney is on it from before she was in Mom. She was a dramatic actress. And it is just about as brilliant as House of Cards. So, yeah. And finally, for honorable mention, a limited series on HBO, The Night Of. The Night Of tells the story of this kid named Nasir, who goes out one night in his dad's cab when he shouldn't have. Somebody winds up dead. He did not do it. and we watch the wheels of the justice system over the course of 8 episodes basically screw everybody. And at the end of the story, there's only one person who comes out shining, and it's not even a person, it's somebody's pet. So, check it out. Alrighty, drum roll. The finest series I've ever seen on television. I could weep just thinking about it. Number 1 is Mad Men. I remember when it was on TNT, and I missed the first episode, and I said, oh, it's too late, and I didn't watch it. Well, a couple of February breaks ago, I sat and I watched it. I watched nothing but it for the entire week. I didn't watch The Weather. I didn't watch Family Guy. I didn't watch The Golden Girls. I didn't watch the news. I watched Mad Men. I can't even tell you. Okay? Mad Men tells the story of Mr. Don Draper, played by John Hamm, who was my celebrity crush. Or one of them, actually. My other is John Mulaney. And so, Don Draper is an advertising man in the 60s. It's 1960 as the series opens. It runs until 1971. And he works at Sterling Cooper, a wonderful advertising agency that later becomes Sterling Cooper Draper Price. And it shows him and his buddy at the office, Roger, and Peggy, the new secretary, and I'm trying to think of, people, and Joan, the tried and true secretary, who's smarter than people give her credit for because she has a lot up here, and his wife, Betty, who was an absolute incredible character study in what happens when you do not leave the 50s mentally, and just, it's absolutely unbelievable. The costumes, the set design, the acting, the directing, the writing, the story, it's tied to that particular period in history because it's a weird take. It's a weird take on the 60s. You see, it's not told from the point of view of mod people or hippie people. It's told from the story of the generation above, It's the older brothers of people who would have been to Woodstock looking down on that person thinking that they're crazy, So it's just, it's these people in the series would have served in Korea, you know what I mean? So, and in fact, Don Draper did serve in Korea, which is a whole thing. So I'm not going to give away the farm here. But what I'm going to say is, now my friend John and I disagree about the way the series ended. He had his trouble with it. I think it was brilliant. That's okay. That's why this is the Earth. Everyone has a different opinion. But it is astounding to see how the story winds up for various people. And the dramatic ups and downs leave you, edge of your seat excitement. And the sheer drama and the character study of a man who, seemingly has it all and buckles under the pressure, and then has it all, and then buckles under the pressure, and then has it all, and then buckles, it's holy cow. And it is a phenomenal series, and it's literally probably, I'd have to say, the finest 1-hour drama, aside from Knots Landing from the 1980s, that I've ever seen in my life, and it is my absolute pick. And I've gone on too long with this video. So, I'm going to go, and I'm going to watch the season finale of This Is Us right now. But before I go, let me just say this. Do you see how excited I get? You see, I could see myself in the camera, and I see how I'm just about these shows. Well, that's what we're looking for in this day, in this age of fear, and in this climate of, uncertainty, and this moment of sadness. And, isn't it wonderful that we can still find someone else's story, not our own sad coronavirus story, somebody else's made-up story that is so awesome that it makes us go, like me. Isn't that great? I love it. You'll love it too. You'll love all 10 of these things, and the honorable mentions as well. So, I hope you took out a notepad, or rewind and watch the title sequences of this video, because you have some watching to do. I have some watching to do too, so I'm going to go. And I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you later this week with a video of some more intriguing topics regarding our mental health and well-being, because I think these are the times when we need that the most. And isn't it wonderful that you have a person who is so invested in that she's willing to give you a list of TV series and so much more advice that you almost say, Linda, stop talking to me. We got this. We do. Don't worry. I'm going to go now. Keep watching.